144. Scrape the carbon off. Base gasket off. Looking at the cylinder. You get where I ain't got a lot of glare here. I can see some sanding marks where somebody's sanded on this. It's been apart before, right? But they didn't get rid of like a witness of an older, different gasket on it. Some places they have it sanded off, and some places there's a witness of it. So somebody changed the gasket. I decarboned this a little bit so I could do a squish. This is a thick gasket, right? It's I think they call it a 2mm gasket. It's 38 thousandths is what it measures when I mic it. That's double thickness gasket. And they did make these, and I don't remember the reason. It had something to do with altitude. So they made a thick gasket, thin gasket. So I was from Ohio. I don't know why anyone would use a thick gasket in Ohio. Anyways, without a gasket, no gasket in it at all. Check the squish, had 15 thousandths. This saw I probably run without a gasket, without hitting the head at 15 thousandths. So the total squish in this saw stock, or as it came to me, was 53 thousandths of squish. So the piston had like a really thick layer of carbon on it, and down in the bore we had a lot of carbon down in there. And this is what they call a D shape or offset chamber. I would rather have a little wider squish band all the way around and have a centered combustion chamber. These are offset. I know it's hard to tell because everything is so carboned up in there, but it's an offset chamber. Now the reason that they offset the chamber, and people think it's for performance, it wasn't for performance. So when this piston's going down, right, and the crank's going in that direction, the rod angle is pushing the piston towards the intake. So they moved the chamber to the intake side to try to push the piston more this way to combat the forces being pushed on it this way. The crank rod and crank angle is trying to bend the piston, push the piston, and that is to try to save on wear. And it didn't help for performance. It only made matters worse. The chamber it performs better if it's in the center. You're going to get better overall performance. The fuel that is trapped in the squish band doesn't do very little as far as performance for the saw. That fuel burns very late in the burning cycle, burns kind of dirty, and that's part of why it was so carboned up, because it had such a huge squish clearance. But the fuel that gets trapped in the squish band does nothing for the performance of the motor. That's basically lost and wasted fuel. By tightening up the chamber or the squish band, we're forcing more fuel out of the squish band into the chamber to increase performance. Guys ask me why, I started cutting bases and squishes, and that is why. I'm trying to tighten that up. A 20,000 squish clearance seems to be a safe number to go with. We can run tighter than that, but safely 20, longevity, right? So that's part of the performance is get that band flat but not over excessively wide. So that's what we're shooting for. Get the fuel out of the band, into the chamber, let's make more power and a cleaner burning, cleaner running engine. So, you know, part of that even goes into emissions. So let's make them better. Can't really change the combustion chamber in these. You know, I would if I could, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to even try. But we do raise the compression and correct the squish clearance and squish band shape and all that stuff for performance reasons. Raising the compression is just an added bonus to what's going on here. Some engines, yep, I do this just to raise the compression on them some. But early on when I started doing this, it wasn't about compression. It was about the squish band correctness. So just a little history on that. But yep, 53 thousandths for this gasket in it is a lot for an 044. So we're going to be cutting it. Cutting the base, cutting the squish. We'll correct that even further than what I have it. I just kind of sanded it a little bit just to get it clean. Just enough to get the carbon off from it so that I could get a decent squish clearance measurement just out of curiosity. And so I knew that, you know, what it was, because I noticed this thick gasket. I haven't seen one of these in many years. But most of them were 20 or 40. You know, this one measures 38. So I think that, I think it was like a 1 millimeter or 0.8 millimeter or something. You know, the stock normal gasket is around 18 thousandths. So, which would have gave it 33, which is still kind of high, but a lot better than 53, right? So yeah, anyways, just wanted to point that out. It was just something that I haven't seen in a while, and everyone showed up. So till the next one.